Hello everyone and welcome back to Animation Pilgrimage, the show where Tennille and I take a look at every single theatrically released animated film in chronological order. I'm Whitney.
I'm Tennille.
And today we are taking a look at Adieu, Galaxy Express 39, which is a sequel to Galaxy Express 39 from 2 years ago.
Yeah.
This was brought to us by Toei of Japan once again. And our copy specifically was given to us by Bored Artist. They gave us a physical copy of the movie. Thank you so much for the physical copy.
Thank you very much.
Now,
if anyone remembers our review of Galaxy Express 39, they'll know that
we didn't like it very much.
We did not like it, Sam I Am. We did not like it at all.
And I want to let people know, if you like movies that we don't like, that's good. That's okay.
I feel like we should I'm almost obligated to say it before any time there comes a movie we don't like, because inevitably we'll get comments that are like, you know, I liked this movie, and it's like, that's fine.
And how dare you not like this movie? And you clearly didn't understand the movie if you didn't like it. And as long as you're not insulting us as human beings, that's fine. You can disagree with us. In fact, we have a lot of people that do disagree with us, but they still leave amazingly polite comments and explain why they like things. And I love reading those comments. We just want to reiterate, it's okay.
The world is full of people with different opinions, and that's all right. So anyway, I hated this film. Yeah,
we hated this one even more than the first one.
I don't know if I hated it more than the first one.
I do. For different reasons. I don't know. This is the first movie that made me actively angry in a long time on this show. Mm-hmm. Like, the last time I remember feeling angry at a movie, I think was us watching a Rankin Bass film. And that has been a long time.
Yeah.
Because normally, if I don't like a movie, I just groan. But this actively made me angry. And again, if you like this movie, good. Someone's got to. And I want to go back and say, we're just two random hoo-has on the internet.
Hoo-has?
And this is a show where we're watching all these movies, so these are going to be our honest and frank opinions on them. Mm-hmm. And also, we're only watching these movies once.
Oh, yeah.
We don't have time to sit and, like, really dive deep into these movies.
Unless it's a film that, you know, obviously we grew up with.
Yeah, unless it's a movie that we've already watched before, these are generally going to be our first time watching opinions. Who knows? If we watched some of these movies we didn't like a couple of times, maybe they'd grow on us, but we don't have the time and effort, and we don't want to do that.
Well, I mean, yeah, we just don't have time to do that if we ever want to get through this project. Mm-hmm. Anyway, enough beating around the bush. Let's talk about Adieu, Galaxy Express 39.
So it's 3 years later from the first movie, and the robot empire is even more aggressive than they were before, and they're actively destroying Earth because they're a little angry that Tetsuro and Maytel destroyed their home planet last time.
Yeah, which kind of makes me wonder how, like, they have such a big army to do this, but, like, okay, I guess they do. That's fine. Okay. Whatever.
Tetsuro is now older, and his eyes got bigger, and his proportions are better. Good for him. I don't know how he grew his eyeballs bigger, but good for him.
Ugly as sin anymore.
He's now with the human resistance, and it's not going well. Mm-hmm. Everybody dies, but he's able to get a little transmitter from Maytel telling him to get back on the stupid train. So he does that. I
feel like, okay, so this takes up like the first 10, 15 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, something like that.
This beginning. And it does have a very, like, dark war cinematic opening. And I was like, okay, like, this is kind of a new direction. Where's this going? I was trying to give this movie, like, a clean slate. We went into this
movie trying not to be angry. We're like, all right, we won't
judge it on its past sins.
We'll just let it be itself. Mm-hmm. And that lasted maybe 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah, because around the point where everyone just starts dying for our main character for no reason. I'm like, all right, so here's our Gary Stu protagonist, or everyone's just gonna like
bend over backwards for him
to progress his story.
Spoilers, that's the whole movie.
Yeah.
So he gets on the train again, and look, the train conductor guy is here again. So he's our comic relief. He does nothing.
No.
As usual. Yeah. He does nothing. And now, you know how last time there was a glass robot girl who was the serving girl? Well, now there's just a regular robot girl here, which is weird because, you know, robots are like trying to destroy humanity. And she's just like, nah, I'll go work on a train.
Yeah.
So she obviously has ulterior motives.
Oh, yeah. She definitely rings she's definitely not someone to be trusted bells immediately.
She also shows off that she doesn't have to eat disgusting human food. She only has to eat these miracle pills that definitely aren't important at all. No, definitely. And that gives her all the energy she ever needs.
Being a robot is great.
Just like the first movie, they stop at a random Western town planet. It's very Western, and it's also being attacked by robot people because they're destroying humanity or living people all across the universe.
At this point, it's also rumored that Maytal has become the new queen of the robot
empire. You know, even though she helped destroy them last time. Why is she the new queen? Oh, yes. No.
Oh, no.
Anyways, our main character is helped by a cat boy.
Meowder.
Named Meowder.
He's not really a cat boy, but his name is Meowder.
And he has, like, cat-like eyes, I guess.
Uh-huh.
And he's the one that really goes into, like, oh, she's the new queen. Also, look, this building was their old house. Look, there's a picture of her. This doesn't really do anything other than set up, oh, this was their home planet a long time ago or something.
A long time ago, yeah.
And then he makes a promise with Tetsuro and says, hey, don't go dying before I do. Da-dun-dun. I'm sure that won't end well. I mean, will end perfectly fine. There's also a new, bigger, more intimidating ghost train.
There's a ghost train!
It shows up the 3-9. It's just a bigger train. It's not actually a ghost. It just exudes a green aura for no reason. This is probably unimportant as well.
Okay, you gotta stop saying that.
Okay.
Like, there actually, like, all these plot elements are going to come back. We're not just, like, yanking your chains around.
There's a Death Star.
Yes.
And Darth Vader.
Yeah.
Darth Vader is... what? I don't even remember what his actual name is. Faust. His name is Faust, and he's another robot guy. But if you know, he's not completely robot. He's got like a human chin, and it makes you wonder, oh, he's probably not entirely evil or something because he's got human qualities, and the creators know that if they make him completely robot, you can't sympathize with them because they're cowards. Sorry, this is me just inferencing into the design of the character himself.
Okay.
But it's Darth Vader, and the fact that he still has the human chin very clearly makes it just like, oh, he might not be completely bad because robots are alien, and if we made him look completely robot, you can't sympathize with a robot, Tennille.
I kind of just want to stop here and say that I think one of the biggest problems that I have with this franchise is that the main conflict is supposed to be about this robot versus humanity question of, like, if you could get a robot body
and live
forever and there's, like, no downsides, would you give up your human body to do this? And the first movie tried to show this by showing, like, how poor, like how it's also kind of like this class divide with only rich people being able to get robot bodies. And then they also show, like, robot people who have had regrets about leaving their human bodies behind and stuff. But I just don't think that in these two films they make a very compelling argument for why you wouldn't want a robot body. Like, especially in this film. So far in the film, the main argument has been, well, if I had a robot body, I wouldn't have to eat steak to survive. And it's like, okay. But you'd live forever and you wouldn't have, like, pain, human pain and stuff. Like,
whatever.
It doesn't dive very deep into it, and it's such an interesting moral question that this whole story is based around. It feels woefully underexplored.
Oh, absolutely. Anyways, I forgot to mention, they picked up Maytel on Maytel's home planet as well.
Oh, yeah.
But Maytel does jack shit in this movie.
Yeah, like, she really doesn't need to be here.
So, yeah. She's technically here now, and she'll be around for the rest of the movie. But if I never mention her again, it's because she really doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
Other than be the character that the main character has goo-goo eyes for. You know, his mom.
Yeah.
Reminder, Maytel's body is Tetsuro's mom's body. And that's just weird, because he has a crush on her.
Yeah.
Anyways, Darth Vader... Faust, aka Darth Vader, sends Tetsuro back in time to watch his mom die again, but this time we get a little bit of other thing where they talk briefly about his dad and how he is not in the picture anymore.
Gee, I wonder if that'll come out.
Yeah.
It's not like we literally have Darth Vader in this movie.
Yeah. And Darth Vader suspiciously isn't all about, like, I gotta kill this kid. He's more of like, hey, kid, isn't being human terrible? Wouldn't it be better if you could just live forever and not have to go through that kind of tragedy again? Wink, wink, kid. Anyways, Tetsuro shoots him in the dark or something, and he's like, all right, I'll be back, bye. And then the Death Star explodes for no reason. And they just continue driving the train. Along the lines, we also just get random, like, cameos again from Captain Harlock and Esmeraldas, who are here for no reason again. Yep. They're literally just like, hi, bye.
They're even less
characters than they were the first time around.
Yeah, it is literally, hi, we're here for a cameo. We heard something needs to be blown up. Okay, we blew it up. Bye. And like, they don't talk. They don't anything.
Harlock shows up, doesn't talk, explodes a bunch of bad guys, and just leaves. Esmeralda's at least, like, picks up Maytel, who's floating through space or something after the Death Star explodes, and deposits her back on the train. It doesn't make any sense.
No.
She's here for the cameo. She's gone. Anyways, they finally make it to Grand Andromeda, which is the real home city of the robot empire. You know Maytel's planet from the first movie? No, that was just Maytel's planet because that was like half of her. Well, this is half Prometheum, or mom. It's Maytel's mom is the core of this planet, and this is the true planet of the
robots.
Empire. It's the second Death Star. They're just like, oh, we're doing the same movie again. Haven't you figured it out?
Yeah, it really hits all the same plot beats as the first film.
But this
bit more cohesively this time, but...
But they're here as guests. Tetsuro has been brought as a guest.
Why?
Why?
He blew up your last planet!
Why would you bring him here as a guest? Like, seriously, Faust is like, I talked to the big lady in charge, and I wanted her to bring my son, this kid, over here, and I'm going to convince him to become a robot. And the evil robot lady, who is the core of the planet, she's like, he blew up my last planet. But you asked nicely, so sure, you could bring him along.
I'm sure this will end well for me.
Guess what happens? So,
spoiler, they blow up the other planet.
Before they blow up the planet, they do find out that this planet and the ghost train have been bringing human people to a big factory, and then they throw them into a big pit and suck out their souls and turn them into the energy pills. So literally the robots...
No.
Oh no. So those energy pills that the robots eat to stay alive are literally human souls. So
apparently the body of the people they bring also, it doesn't matter if they are alive or dead, because we see that Meowder has been killed. And our poor soldier cat boy has been killed, and he is put in through the machine.
But he's dead.
But
they turn off the machine, and everybody else just gets up from wakes up from the conveyor belt. That's the word. Yeah. And then they just run out. Like, they're all alive, but Meowder's dead. Uh-huh. So it's like, I guess
it takes both living and... it implies that a dead body still has its soul, which kind of...
Unless it's just really awkward, poor writing, and Meowder already got his soul sucked out, and that's why he's dead, but he's full of bullet holes.
Yeah.
It's unclear.
Uh-huh. Anyway, the new metal girl,
she's like, oh, I guess I'm not okay with being a robot now because I'm eating human souls, and that feels really wrong. Mm-hmm. So she kills herself.
Yeah.
She kills herself, just like in the last movie, to save the main character boy.
In a fight that is spectacularly...
underwhelming.
Unnecessary.
Yeah.
It's like suddenly...
Halt, you're under arrest, even though you're with the queen.
Suddenly, there are two, police officers who are like, stop, you're under arrest, even though... everyone in this party is guests of the queen and, nothing is going on. This metal girl, explodes herself, dies, and then they continue about their business, and then they explode the facility.
Yeah, they explode the facility, which also in turn explodes the planet, killing Mom again. Mm-hmm. And after they're exploding the planet, everything's blowing up, robot people are dying left and right, they're evacuating the humans who are still here onto the train, and suddenly out of nowhere, for absolutely no reason, Siren the Witch shows up, which is a giant black hole monster from the deep ends of space.
You might be asking yourselves, wait, you guys didn't mention anything about that earlier in the synopsis. It's okay, because this is the first time it has ever been brought up. Apparently, there is just a thing called Siren the Witch, who is a black hole monster that lives in space. Mm-hmm. And she's here now.
She's here now, and she's gonna eat the planet. She does that. And everyone's escaping on the train, and it's floating around weird. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention... Harlock and Esmeralda are back, and they were blowing up the planet before this whole happened again.
Yeah, they're here for some reason.
Faust teleports onto Harlock's ship, and he's like, hey, remember how we were best buds and stuff? Well, I'm gonna go fight the kid on top of the train, and I need you to watch. Hold on to this locket for me. It's not important. And Harlock's like, yeah, okay, we were friends once. Again, first time this has ever been brought up. We gotta connect everything back to Harlock, who is a much more important and apparently interesting character than anything going on in this movie.
Even though this is the first time he's talked this whole film, and we're the second scene he's been in.
We're an hour and 45 minutes into this movie, and finally Captain Harlock says 3 lines.
Also, turns out Metal Girl
didn't die,
so she crawls back onto the train.
And then she overhears a conversation, and she's like, well, I guess I don't need to live. And then she just falls off the train and dies again.
Well, no, she finds out that because she got on the train is now being sucked up by Siren the Witch. So she's like, oh, now I have to double kill myself to save the protagonist. So she does.
And it doesn't seem to make any difference.
No.
Anyways, Faust teleports onto the train and is like, fight me, small child, my son, who I'm never going to tell. And then, that's the thing. They have a shootout on the top of the train. Faust gets shot and he flies off into the siren. And as he's flying away, he thinks to himself, does not say aloud. He's like, go on and live well, my son. He never tells the main character.
Oh my god.
The main character never finds out that Faust was his dad.
What was the point?
Yeah.
If I was this kid, I'd be like, what was that guy's problem?
Yeah, what the hell was that guy's problem? Because the main character never learns. Captain Harlock opens the locket, and it's a picture of his son and his wife.
Uh-huh.
And so he throws that into the siren as well. And then we get a scene, like, and then they escape the Siren the Witch, just because, why not? Sure. They're back on the planet where Meowder lived, and they give him a burial, and Harlock thinks to himself, man, your son has grown up to be a great man, Faust, but never tells him, even still.
Suddenly, this film tries to tell us that this was actually a coming-of-age story for our main character boy, and I'm like, bullshit. You can't just say, oh, wow, you're a man now, and like, suddenly this was a coming-of-age story.
It wasn't.
Uh-huh.
If anything, the first movie was more of a coming-of-age story.
Yeah.
Anyways, the train is getting ready to leave and go back to Earth with a bunch of supplies to fight the robots more, even though we've blown up their home planet twice now. And Maytel stays behind because she flakes on the main character at every instance. And the movie ends.
Yeah.
That's the end of the movie. It was just the same movie again. This time with less kissing of children.
Yeah, that's definitely an improvement. A big improvement. But
instead
also,
of having mommy issues this time, daddy has child issues and never tells the son, making the whole him being his dad meaningless.
Yeah, like it just...
Like, without connecting back to the child and actually talking to him about the fact that there is a familial relationship here, he doesn't matter as a villain. Also, the fight scene at the end...
I mean, even if he did tell him, like, I still don't know that would be enough to really justify what all was going on here. Like...
Because if you think about it, his dad went on ahead and became a robot before his wife and child. And then his wife died trying to get a robot body, and so his son swears revenge on robot bodies. And then he finds his son, and instead of being like, hey, guess what? I was a bad father and out of the picture, and I got my robot body. You should join me. He's just this mysterious asshole who makes his son watch his traumatic mom's death again.
Yeah.
This is a horrible relationship. So, yeah, the movie's over. But, like, if you... Everyone in the movie bends over backwards to get the main character, who doesn't have any need to be in this movie, everywhere, so he is the main character.
Yeah. It's just, like, more capable people bending over backwards and dying for our protagonist, so that the protagonist could do something that literally anybody could do.
Like Maytel. Maytel could have just been the main character.
She should have just been the main character. She's got way more stakes in all this. Like, this is her family drama with her mom and her dad the last film. Like...
But no, she just kind of stands around and technically becomes queen in a ceremony and then immediately helps destroy the planet with the kid. But again, she doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
The only... Okay, there was one part of this movie I did enjoy. And it was a music sequence as they're entering the solar system.
Oh God, yeah.
Where... the Great Andromeda is. There's just like this super 80s synth crazy song going on, which does not fit the thematic music theming of the rest of the universe that we've been implied in this movie.
Yeah, because the movie, like this universe definitely is going for like space cowboy vibes.
Space cowboy with like high dramatic music, and then there's just like an 80s synth song, like... And I'm like, this doesn't have anything to do with everything else. It's great!
You know, if I had to point out one thing that I liked, I think that the storyline with Meowder is actually pretty solid. I like them meeting up. Like, there was a nice camaraderie between our main character and Meowder. You get a little bit of personality from him. And then the conclusion of that, seeing his dead body at the robot planet and our protagonist crying for him, and then that tying into the robot lady feeling guilty about her robot body, and Maytel asking her, like, is anybody going to cry over you the way that, you know, Meowder is being mourned right now?
Maytel doesn't say that. That's still Tetsuro.
Is it?
Yeah.
But
Maytel just stands there.
Oh.
She does nothing again.
Okay. Well, either way, even though there's still a lot of problems I have with individual little elements of things that go into it, I think that that's like a solid
through line
for that. It's still not executed perfectly because, you know, I'm still just thinking, well, no one will need to cry over her dead body because she's a fucking robot who will never die. She sacrifices herself and dies twice in the end, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Another thing I want to bring up about this movie is it's 2 hours and like 9 minutes long.
Mm-hmm.
This movie could have easily been cut down with all the same plot beats to like a nice hour and a half, maybe an hour and 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
This movie is very slow paced and not in a we're being contemplative. It's just we're standing here and watch two characters stare at each other for 30 seconds.
Literally.
Nothing's going on. It's literally just two characters staring at each other. And they do this a lot.
And you have a lot of, like, fan servicey moments because this is the last Galaxy Express 3.9 content that is going to be made for, like, the next 20 years. 15, 20 years. I guess that this franchise kind of gets rebooted in the late 90s with more, like, mangaka and OVAs and stuff. But, like, this really is kind of supposed to be the send-off, so they're trying to do a lot of fan servicey things. There's this whole plot line where it's like, hey, the captain is like this guy who we've never seen his body because he wears this big coat and he has, like,
oh, not the captain,
eyes.
But the conductor guy.
Yeah, the conductor. And, you know, so, like, there's this plot in the movie where they're like, what's his real body look like? And at the end of the movie, he just opens up his jacket and he's like this invisible guy.
Yeah.
It's like, what does that even mean for the laws of this universe?
Like, it just raises too many questions.
But it's obviously just there to be a fan servicey, like, ooh, what does he really look like?
We'll finally tell you.
Yeah. It's one of those things that wasn't really ever supposed to be answered, but it's answered because this is the farewell movie. Mm-hmm. This was directed by Rintaro, who was the mangaka. And, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay. Obviously, you can tell we didn't really like this movie, and I would suggest skip it. It's really just a rehash of the first movie.
Yeah.
Just with extra stakes that don't matter, actually.
Yeah, it both removes the high stakes from the last one, makes them not as important, and also...
The first movie was like a traveling movie trying to dive into
the world and the universe.
Of like whether it is good or bad to have robot body. And this one's just like, no, robot body bad, so we're going to go to some place and blow it up probably. Mm-hmm. And there are no stakes. Like, the movie doesn't care about the stakes. And yet it tries to care about the stakes, and it doesn't cohesively mesh.
The emotional connection just was not there for either of us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So anyway, what are we watching next time?
I heard you like metal.
Oh.
So how about...
It gets heavy?
Yeah, how about we talk about some heavy metal? and leave Japan behind for most of the rest of 1981.
Wow.
We actually have like a stint of like 6 movies or something
that
without Japan.
Wow.
So we're going to go watch Heavy Metal from Columbia Pictures and Canada.
Neat.
So I've heard this movie exists. I'm interested
I know nothing about it. Anyway, we'll see you next time. We'll talk about it next time.
Rock out.
Woo!